Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Figured I would share my screen, kind of go through some bets. So, done this numerous times. I kind of like to do these just to help explain how to use the different, tools on OddsJam, how to get an advantage over the sports books, how to win long term. That's what all these live streams are about. So one of the platforms we'll start out on, because I just locked in a slip there actually, and we'll kind of discuss is Underdog Fantasy. So I use the fantasy optimizer on OddsJam to find a lot of the picks that I go with. And this tool, is pretty simple. Like at the end of the day, when you're betting on sports, you're trying to make money, right? And if you're making money, the books are losing money. So you're trying to find bets that are profitable, bets that have an edge. So long story short, if you think about it, you're trying to find spots where the sports books are screwing up, right? And the best way to do that is by looking at data. So if you look here, what's interesting is all these sports books, right? They all set lines independently. They all have different lines from one another. So sometimes they get out of sync, right? Sometimes Underdog Fantasy disagrees, with PrizePicks. So Underdog Fantasy is a pretty popular platform. So you'll see right here, one of the picks I went with, just as an example, is Typhoon under 7. I took this on Underdog Fantasy in my little entry. So why did I like this pick, right? Do I know anything? Did I watch a bunch of highlights on Typhoon, right? No. I mean, most sports bettors, when they start out betting on sports, they think it's about watching sports, right? It's not. That's what every sports bettor does. That's what 99% of sports bettors do. You're not outsmarting billion-dollar companies by watching sports. That's not how you're going to beat them, right? So if you look at PrizePicks and you look at ParlayPlay, what you're going to see is, whoa, like there's a pretty big discrepancy in where they're setting this this guy named Typhoon, his line. So you're going to see this, elite athlete, Typhoon. ParlayPlay has his line at 5.5. PrizePicks has his line at 5.5. Underdog Fantasy has the line at 7, right? So it seems like Underdog Fantasy, their line is too high relative to these other data points. So we want to take the under. And there's not a bunch of books that post esports lines, but I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. You're not going to be able to, a lot of people think they can create a better model than PrizePicks. Oh, I'm going to create a better model than PrizePicks. PrizePicks has hundreds of engineers, hundreds of data scientists. You're probably really smart. I would never try to create a better model than PrizePicks because it simply won't work, right? This is their full-time job. Billion-dollar company has thousands of employees, and a lot of them, their job is to create the best possible model to set these lines. So the best way to beat sportsbooks is you find inefficiencies in the market. So you look at this player, Boogie. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 7.5. It's like, what are they doing, right? ParlayPlay has his line at 6. PrizePicks has his line at 6. So OddsJam, it's not really doing anything complicated. It's reading in all these lines across 200 sports books, so it's reading in all this data, and it's just pointing out value in the market, right? No BS whatsoever, just pointing out value in the market. So what we can do is we can refresh Underdog Fantasy. There were some good plays earlier, and we can try to find some more good picks, right? You can see a lot of League of Legends lines just dropped. So hopefully we can find some good plays. And I mean, why is League of Legends so profitable? A lot of people love the NFL. The NFL is basically 1 day a week. There's not that many games in a week. League of Legends, there's dozens of games a day, right? Like, look how many lines are just on Underdog Fantasy, how much stuff there is to bet on. That's how much stuff Underdog Fantasy could possibly mess up, which is exactly what you can see they're doing, right? They're messing up a lot of lines. So what we can do is we can start looking for some picks. So let me refresh this, and we can go ahead and we can start looking for some plays with an edge. And we'll start out on the Underdog Fantasy. So did I already bet on this guy? So we can go here. You can see some of the plays I gave out earlier. Couldn't really sleep well last night, so gave out a bunch of plays on Twitter. Some plays looking decent. I don't know. We'll see. So some of these plays I've already locked in. But if we take a look right here, right, take a look at this player Shiden, right? Well, maybe that play just went away. So let me refresh here and let's see if this play popped back up, and it didn't. So fantasy scores, I usually don't really find many opportunities. I don't even think ParlayPlay doesn't have fantasy scores. Neither does PrizePicks. It's only Underdog Fantasy that I've seen fantasy scores. So in general, it's just hard to find value, right? Because you have nothing to compare to. And what kind of stinks about esports, compared to other sports, is if you think about like baseball. So, if you like to bet on FanDuel, right, you can filter in FanDuel. So let's go here, or we can just filter in all the sports books. I mean, whatever, right? And you can see there's some good bets on FanDuel. So usually I recommend setting your market width around 50. But you can see there's like a lot of good bets, on a bunch of different sports books. More sports books you have, the better. But in baseball, right, you have dozens of sports books posting lines. So it's pretty clear in general, like which sports book is screwing up. So we can actually lower this if we want to. So like if you take a look at this tennis play, even here, like there's a lot of books that post lines on tennis compared to esports, So like this play, Brandon, it looks like there's a pretty close tennis match. It looks like on FanDuel, this play on Brandon Nakashima at -110. So FanDuel has the same odds on both players, right? Eubanks and Nakashima. You're going to see, right? This isn't about sports. You don't have to know anything about tennis. If you look at every other sports book, so aside from FanDuel, which is giving you the same odds on both tennis players, right? You're going to see every other sports book has Nakashima as a pretty big favorite, right? And it actually looks like if you pull up a little line movement chart, lines have been moving towards him from like -116 to -130. So typically the word you use is stale, right? FanDuel has a stale price. All these other books are ripping lines in favor of Nakashima. So probably all the sports betting hedge funds, the syndicates, a lot of action is coming in on Nakashima, right? And that's moving lines towards him. In general, all these books are ripping lines towards Nakashima. FanDuel is asleep at the wheel, giving us -110. So that's a good bet to go with. But let's go back to Underdog and let's start to look for some plays. So Kofti, Istanbul Wildcats. So if we start here, doesn't look like this play is available either. I mean, well, here it is. It is 11.5. The line is 14 on PrizePicks, 14.5 on ParlayPlay. And then what I can do is just try to take the next two highest value plays before any of these lines move. Again, this is a speed game. I used to be a trader, and like speed is of the utmost importance. You want to get down the best bets, you got to know how to move quickly. And it's the same thing here, right? You got to be like these crazy line discrepancies. I promise you, this play on Kofti, a lot of people are like, yo, that pick moved on me. It's like, I don't control when the sports books, change their odds. As a sharp bettor, you're finding spots where sports books are screwing up. Underdog Fantasy has this guy's line at 11.5, right? PrizePicks has the line at 14, right? We go here. PrizePicks has the line at 14. Telling you, and a lot of people, if you only use Underdog Fantasy, that doesn't mean you don't look at PrizePicks' lines. You still look at PrizePicks' lines because that informs your bets. That helps you make better decisions with data, right? You're looking at data to make informed betting decisions. It's all you do as a quant on Wall Street. And it's, if you want to make money sports betting, that's the exact same thing you do here. You follow the data, you follow the market information. A lot of people, will be like, oh, but you're not looking into historical stats. And right, what you got to remember is that's already baked into the market, right? If he had 2 kills last game, or if he had 50, it doesn't matter. If this guy's been going crazy and doing well, that's already public information. It's already baked into the lines that sports books are putting out. That's not how you beat sports books, is by looking at historical data. It's overall pretty useless because it's already baked into the sports books lines and odds. So we can go here. And again, another thing is Underdog Fantasy, they're running a promo today. So you can just, I recommend if you want to get, promo, a really easy way to make money sports betting. I've explained this before. A lot of books run these promos, but today they're running this promo on Daphne Van Domsleer. Long story short, you want to take her under 1.5 goals against, right? So they're essentially usually on Underdog Fantasy. So if you go here, right? So usually for these 2-pick entries, so if you create a little 2-pick entry, and they move lines so dang quick. But if you create a 2-pick entry, they usually are only giving you a 3x payout. For this promo, they're giving you a 4x payout. So it's a really profitable promo. And again, all my refer a friend codes, if you want to sign up for these books, most of them offer pretty lucrative sign-up bonuses when you first sign up. Like Hot Streak is a platform. I only put like $500 in, have been giving out a ton of plays on live stream. It's not like a sexy, sports book. It's not super popular, but hey, I've turned like $500 into 2.2K in a month on live stream. So if you tailed the plays, you've been doing pretty well on Hot Streak. But they offer you a $200 deposit match when you first sign up. You put in 200, they give you 200 for free, right? So all my refer a friend codes for these different books are below. More books you have, the better. You never know which book is going to be running a promo on a given day, like a really good promo. You also never know which sports book is going to be screwing up on a given day. Sometimes on these live streams, I'll give out a ton of plays on PrizePicks. Sometimes it's a bunch of different sports books. And then sometimes, it's mainly Underdog Fantasy. It really just depends on the day. So we'll go back to Underdog Fantasy here in a second, but it's pretty simple, right? Like, why do you want to take her under? A lot of people just assume you want to take her over. She's on the bad guys team. She's on the Netherlands, the team the USA is playing. So you assume you want to take the over, but that's actually a horrible decision. You don't want to take the over. You want to take the under. So if you look at the Women's World Cup, right, and you go to like team props, what you're going to see is, right, the U.S. women's national team is favored, right? It's the favored outcome. This is DraftKings Sportsbook, but go look at any of them. They're all roughly the same when I looked this morning, at least. The women's national team, right, they're under 1.5 goals is the favored outcome. So this lady is more likely to give up less than 1.5 goals against her. So sorry, you got to bet against your country here, and you got to take the under. At least that's a mathematically profitable play. So Underdog Fantasy is running this promo. My assumption is they know most people will take the over, and then it's a horrible promo. Underdog is probably making money off most people if they take – well, they are making money off people if they take the over. So make sure you take the under. Long story short, make sure you take the under. All the books have the under for the USA, under 1.5 goals favored. So we can go back here. And again, like the market's constantly moving. Like I've explained this too, but like, a lot of people will be like, oh, why was there a good MLB bet, just now? Why didn't this play show up 4 hours ago? And if you look, like there's always information changing in the market, like the stock market, it's like earnings reports, stuff like that causes big moves in stock prices, right? And for sports betting, it's kind of similar, right? When lineups come out, that changes a lot of lines in the game, a lot of odds. If the Red Sox are playing crappy players, right, or their lineup isn't what the market expected, lines are going to move around. Player props for the Twins pitcher, whoever the Red Sox are playing, are going to start to move around as well. But anyways, let's go back to Underdog Fantasy. And as long as there's good plays on Underdog, we might as well keep locking in some picks. So we can go here and we can see this homie Zeus, right? Like really, there's like, I'm not doing anything that complicated. People always think there's some magic going on here when I show how much money I'm up on Underdog Fantasy, which by the way, since you asked, is like 45K on the year. I'm just exploiting inefficiencies in the market. I never bet with my gut. I simply follow the data, and you can see they just locked Zeus. So I was trying to bet this play. They just locked it. They graded out. So what I need to do is I need to go over to this homie Typhoon. Esports, super profitable. Never watched esports in my life. So Boogie, under 7. Did I already bet on him? So unfortunately, so I already bet on this Boogie guy, so I'm not going to be able to play him. So Paddock, Underdog Fantasy has his line at 5. PrizePicks is higher at 5.5. ParlayPlay is at 6. So we want to take Paddock's over. Did I already take this guy? Paddock. No, I didn't. Okay. So we can go back here. And again, like Underdog Fantasy, they clearly cannot manage their esports lines. They screw up a lot of these. So Insanity, 8 on Underdog, other 2 data points at 9. Again, it would be great if there were a bunch of other sports books that posted esports lines. And of course, one of them moved. So again, hopefully, some of you like move quickly, even though I'm giving out these plays and I want to get them in first. Please, bet when you can. So Carlos Rodon. So we're going to take an MLB play with it. Whatever. I'm fine with that. If there's an edge in the MLB, there's an edge in the MLB. So here we have 3 overs. And there we go. We got off the play. So it's a pretty simple strategy. There's, pretty simple strategies for making money on Underdog Fantasy. One is find big discrepancies in where they're setting the line versus their direct competitors. PrizePicks, ParlayPlay. We took Insanity over 8 on Underdog using information, literally day trading the sports books. I love it. Sports books, every other book, every other data point we have in the market has this guy's line at 9, right? Underdog Fantasy has his line at 8. I've explained this before, but the reason sports betting is so profitable is the market is really, inefficient. So if you think about the price of Facebook stock, let's say, this is the price, $298. If you go to Fidelity, you go to Robinhood, you go to E-Trade, Charles Schwab, whatever, this is going to be the price you see. Maybe some small differences, but at the current point in time with the information currently reflected in the market, this is the price. It's not like you see, Facebook's $200 on Fidelity, $300 on E-Trade. So you only get these massive inefficiencies. This is like a stock being $8 on Underdog Fantasy and then 9 on Fidelity and 9 on ParlayPlay. It's crazy, right? It's crazy that this even happens, but this is what happens when books set lines independently. So what's up with this play on Carlos Rodon? So if we go over to the MLB, right? So if we go here and then we go to baseball and then we go to pitcher props, right? You're going to see DraftKings, all these sports books have Carlos Rodon, right? They all have his over favored. They all have him a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. So another strategy for beating Underdog Fantasy, which again, OddsJam automatically does. You can literally just take the picks from the fantasy optimizer, go down the list. It's not that complicated, but a lot of people, want to know the why. They actually care about the math and the strategy. Is Underdog Fantasy is a platform. You can see right here. It doesn't matter if you take over versus under. They don't change your payout, right? Underdog is a fixed payout platform. Any 3 picks you select, right? You could replace this with a different pick. You're still getting a 6x payout. Any 3 picks, 6x payout. They don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. So you just want to look for spots where have one side of the line heavily favored. So here for this Carlos Rodon play, all the books have him heavily favored to go over 6.5 strikeouts, right? DraftKings has this -140. Caesars has this -158, BetMGM -130. So all the books have his over as the favored outcome, the more likely outcome. So you want to include the under or the over in your Underdog Fantasy slip. So again, you don't need OddsJam to do any of this. I tell people that, regardless of if you hate OddsJam, you don't use it, you want to use it, you don't use any sites, you're just a recreational bettor and looking to get a bit of an edge. This is a good strategy. Go to the sports books, DraftKings, Caesars, whatever. Look where their lines are. Look for spots where they have one side heavily favored. So on Underdog Fantasy, for example, DraftKings has Jose Quintana heavily favored to go, heavily favored, right? -150, -140. -120 is only slightly favored. Try to find -140, -150. So what would be great is if we could get Jose Quintana, in our Underdog Fantasy entry to go over 3.5 strikeouts. But you're going to see Underdog Fantasy's too smart. They're saying, hey, all the sports books have him heavily favored to go over 3.5. So we're going to bump up his line to 4, right? That's how they get you. And then again, another strategy, pretty simple, is just scan through PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. Most plays, 99% of the plays on Underdog Fantasy are not profitable bets due to the juice, due to the vig they baked in, right? But occasionally, as you saw earlier, right, with this play on Kofty, there's this rare amount of picks like Kofty over 11.5 where they're screwing up big time, right? And all the other books have the line 3 points higher. So you just have to catch them sleeping, screwing up, however you want to think about it. So what we can do is we can refresh this. Let's find some more plays, right? Might as well. So what we can do is we can look for some plays. And again, like any markets, if you do use OddsJam, any markets you ever want added, just let us know. You can email us. You can use the customer support thing on the site. We're always adding, whatever, new markets, stuff like that. So feel free to do that. So what we can do is we can look for some more plays. So this play, Onar under 7.5. Did I already take this guy? I didn't. So again, like, you're going to be like, wow, these are pretty big discrepancies. And I mean, they are, but they also, like, Underdog Fantasy just released League of Legends line. So there's a lot of big discrepancies. These won't last forever. So what we can do, and what's another good strategy, speaking of strategies, is ideally you can try to find players in the same game. And then sometimes you can like exploit some pretty good correlations, which we have some videos about, but whatever. So let's do this. Let's refresh this. And then I also kind of just like, obviously not everyone uses Underdog Fantasy. So I kind of like to show like, okay, like if you don't use Underdog Fantasy, there's other good plays that you can kind of get in on. So again, you can kind of like play around with the setting with the sports books you want to see, whatever. But you can see there's a lot of good bets. Like I'm currently not in a state that has FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars, but I love them. I mean, I bet on them all the time. I'm just not in a state that has those sports books legal. But you can see like there's some good plays available. You just want to have as many sportsbook accounts as possible. And again, like depending on the state you're located in, all these books have, different, or all these states have different sports books that are legal. So, right, if you use FanDuel, this seems like a good bet. UC Kikuchi over 5.5 strikeouts, right? There's some good plays on, Circa in Colorado. There's some good plays on WinBet. You think of the Wynn Hotel, whatever. This play I hit earlier on Fliff. So Fliff is one of the few sports books that's legal, available in California. And you can see this is a pretty good play, right? So I hit this at -120. So more books you have, the better. I'm just mainly focusing on Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, those types of platforms because they're legal, where I'm currently located. So, obviously I'm going to focus on them. So again, like never know which book is going to have the good bets, the value on a given day. So one book I kind of like, and I've explained this before, is this Hot Streak platform. And why I like this platform is you'll notice OddsJam picks up a lot of plays that are like 10% profitable, right? And that's crazy, right? And you got to remember, like in sports betting, the reason I love it so much and also the reason it's so profitable is you're betting on things that are today. So if like your ROI on your bets is 2%, right? All these MLB games are today. So if you have a 2% profit margin on your bets, that's 60% a month, right? 30 days in a month, 2% a day. That's a 60% ROI. So that's why you can build your bankroll once you know how to get an edge, once you know how to find, profitable plays like this stuff we found on Underdog Fantasy, and we'll go back to Underdog in a bit. Once you know how to exploit these inefficiencies in the market and get an edge, like you can build your bankroll quickly because again, these esports games are tomorrow morning. They're going to be over in 24 hours. So we're earning returns in approximately a day. Our ROI is daily. So I have like, whatever, like a, 12% ROI on ParlayPlay, something like that. So it's really just a matter of placing a lot of bets. We can actually see what my ROI is on this platform. You can look up yours too. It's kind of like new sportsbook. I'm up $1,827 in profit. I bet roughly 13K. So like whatever, 15% ROI, put it at whatever you want to put it at. Like not horrible. And basically the goal is just getting down as much volume as possible. Like a lot of people love to overanalyze bets and like think about them all day long. Should I bet this? Should I not bet this? At the end of the day, like Underdog Fantasy only has an $100 max betting limit. So even if you can get a 10% ROI on your bets, you're only betting $100 a day. That's $10 in profit margin per day. you need to be placing a lot of bets because most of these books, right? That's why they have these inefficiencies. Like it doesn't make sense for a hedge fund who is focused on the stock market to start betting on sports because the limits are too low. You can only bet like $100. So you can make money and you can exploit edges. But again, it's not like as your bankroll grows, you're going to be able to bet $50,000 on an Underdog fantasy entry. The markets aren't liquid enough, right? Like sports books don't let you bet that much. But you're going to see right, this platform, Hot Streak, they run these promos. They literally tell you which bets are profitable. So you can see they're telling you, hey, this Freeman play they run these odds boosts. They only last for 60 minutes. So they start running them at 1 p.m. It's 1 p.m. Pacific time. It'll run until 2 p.m. It'll run for 60 minutes. And currently they're boosting Freddie Freeman. So they're kind of hard to find. But Underdog Fantasy, I apologize, OddsJam is updating, the tens of thousands of lines on Hot Streak. So you can see there's 200 things you can bet per game. OddsJam's reading all that in, looking for value in the market. So what we can do, I assume all 4 of these plays are odds boosts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pair it with Suarez under 5.5 hits allowed. It's a little negative EV. So a lot of people will be like, oh, you're betting something that's red. It's negative. It's not profitable. But this first play, according to OddsJam, has a profit margin of 10.48%. And again, on this platform, Hot Streak, you need at least 2 bets, right? You have to have at least 2 bets in your entry before you can, bet it. So I went ahead and locked in this one. And again, my refer a friend code, if you don't have it yet, they run these hourly promos. Usually there's plays that are 10% profitable. You can only bet them for a max of $10, but definitely a sports book worth getting. $10 max bet size every hour on these promos. But I mean, again, $10, 10% profit margin, $1 in profit margin. They do that every single hour. If you do 5 of them a day, you'll see your bankroll go up pretty quickly in a low risk way. And they also have a deposit match. You put in $200, you now have $400 in your account. You literally start up $200. So what I typically recommend to my friends who are starting sports betting is just do the new user sign up offer, put in $200, get $200 for free. You're $200 richer by just signing up for the sports book, place some bets. And then if you like the sports book, if you're making some money, if you're finding value, stick with it. If not, there's not a gun to your head. Withdraw your money and leave. Whatever. Who cares? Go spend your $200 they gave you for free on a bunch of alcohol. Do whatever you want. But why is this play on Freddie Freeman good? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You're never going to create a better model than the sports books. But you can see Hot Streak was giving us this play for this odds boost, $10 max bet size at plus 138 odds. Pinnacle, which is known to be the smartest, the sharpest sports book out there, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, they're only giving you plus 107. So you're getting 33% better odds on Hot Streak. FanDuel has this all the way at minus 110, DraftKings minus 105, Caesars plus 100. So all these billion-dollar companies are pricing this around plus 100, and Hot Streak is giving you plus 138. You don't have to watch baseball to know this play is profitable, right? It's seeing a stock is $138 on Fidelity, and it's $100 on E-Trade, Robinhood, all these other platforms. These are all data points telling you where the line should be set. So Hot Streak is available in a ton of different locations. Definitely recommend signing up. It's a good book to have. And you can see they drop the profit margin on the odds boost as the hour goes on. So usually you want to get in first, but whatever. Let's go back here. Let's go to Underdog Fantasy. There's so much opportunity. It's just trying to move quickly, trying to bounce around between these sports books. I mean, you're literally day trading sports books. Sometimes there's really good bets on Hot Streak. Sometimes not really, right? Sometimes the value's on Underdog. More books you have, the better. So where can we start? I mean, there's a lot of plays we can start with. You can also see this play on Rodon is still available. Not sure what they're doing, but I can take it again. So what I can do is I can remove this, and maybe we take this again because they're being dumb. and leaving this line at 6.5. Where's PrizePicks? We can see, where does PrizePicks have this line? Go to the MLB. I bet you they don't have it at 6.5. Well, they have it at 6.5 too. Well, let's see. Carlos Rodon. So maybe we can get this play on PrizePicks as well if we want to. So you can. So you can get this line at 6.5 on PrizePicks. So let's see ParlayPlay. So maybe lines just moved. Again, a lot of times after lineups come out, stuff like this, you'll see there's pretty good betting opportunities. There's, bigger line movements. So you can see there's some plays on ParlayPlay, whatever. That maybe we want to go with. But maybe we focus on Underdog Fantasy first. People love Underdog Fantasy. We all love Underdog Fantasy. So what we can do is we can start to go through some more plays. We've already locked in a few. Hopefully you were able to tail some of them. So what we can do is we can try to look for some positive correlation here. So what I mean by that is in esports, positive correlation, pretty simple. All it means is you want to look for players on opposing teams, literally this. This is exactly what we want. So you're going to see OddsJam is recommending we take GWoo over and Grizzly under, right? So these plays are positively correlated in League of Legends, taking players. So I'm going to lock this in. Go ahead if you want to. Players on opposing teams, if one guy goes over, the other guy's more likely to go under. So this is kind of an added benefit of our slip. So a better way to think about that, if you're new to correlation, is just kind of like, you don't have to be a math nerd to understand what it means, because it's pretty dang simple. Is like, Justin Jefferson's Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Justin Jefferson is his main target. If you want to bet on Kirk Cousins to go over in passing touchdowns for the season, probably makes sense to take Justin Jefferson over in receiving touchdowns, right? If Cousins goes over, Jefferson is more likely to go over, especially because Underdog Fantasy, right? They don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. So obviously it would be idiotic to pair Kirk Cousins over in passing touchdowns and Justin Jefferson, his main target, to go under. That would make no sense, right? You want to take both overs together because they're positively correlated. So it's the same thing in esports, right? You just want to take guys on opposing teams, one to go over, one to go under. And again, we found 3 plays with an edge. It's all about finding plays with an edge, locking them in, volume game, right? Positive correlation on these slips as well. One guy over, guy on the opposing team to go under. That's exactly what we want, right? Positively correlated League of Legends slip. And again, like a lot of the really good plays have gone away, but whatever, just kind of is what it is. Like, where's this Kofty homie? So you can see, where did we bet him? Just to brag, we bet him at over 11.5. Underdog Fantasy's at 13.5. Caught him sleeping, right? That's how you F up these books and you make some real money, right? You find inefficiencies, you find where they're screwing up. So I just look at these plays in green and I try to find positive correlation when I can. But again, when these lines are like, for that Kofty play, it's like, when these lines are going to move really quickly, I try not to like waste a bunch of time, so you can't play players from the same team on Underdog Fantasy. So I'm going to skip over that, but I want to find a player ideally on this Go platform to go over. And if not, then that'll kind of be what it is. So did we already take this play on owner over 7.5? So we didn't take this play already. So it looks like this may be a good option to go with. And then we can still take this play on Carlos Rodon. And I can refresh OddsJam, just try to see if there's any new plays available. And then again, like, looks like these lines haven't moved. There's some good WNBA bets. So you're just opportunistic as a sharp better. Wherever there's value, you're going to follow. Braves money line on WinBet, Long story short, we're just like following the market, taking advantage of easy money promos, deposit matches, more books. Sometimes PrizePicks has good promos. Sometimes ParlayPlay has good promos. Again, if you can't make money betting on promos, you're not going to make money sports betting. So another piece of advice I have for new bettors is just like start out with these promos, right? Get the $200 deposit matches, stuff like that. If you can't make money when you're being given $200 for free, probably shouldn't be betting that much money of your money on sports, right? So you can see this play on Rodon is still available. But anyways, I mean, I think we summed it up. We can go over to ParlayPlay quickly and then back to maybe we just call it for now. I'm a little tired. I'm going to get some coffee. I'll probably be on live stream later, maybe at midnight, maybe at 6 p.m. We'll see. But hopefully this was helpful. Again, all my refer a friend codes, get these sports books. I'm going to be betting on them, giving you profitable plays. I promise you, if you watch these live streams, you're going to make money off them. Even just doing these promos that they run hourly, on top of the deposit matches. And then any questions you have about sharp sports betting, profitable sports betting, how to actually get an edge, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to help. Hopefully this was helpful.